Namaste to everyone. Today in this topic we will going to talk about the Jammu and Kashmir, particularly the Jammu. Why Jammu? Because in recent times or since 2021, the Jammu has been affected by the several terrorist attacks emanated from the Pakistan and emanated by the Pakistani terrorist group. That is why we need to talk about the why the Pakistani sponsored terrorist groups are attacking Jammu, not Kashmir. Because usually the Kashmir bear the brunt of the terrorist attack before 2021, but after 2021 the trend has changed. Why it has changed, what is the reason behind it, we will going to talk about in this topic. Before getting into the details, we need to know that what, when and where the terrorist attack has happened and how many soldiers has killed, because these are the things very important to know. The first terrorist attack actually happened in 2021. You can see that 2021 4 personals were killed in an attack on a pilgrimage bus in Katra. On April and the May 2023, 5 soldiers including 2 captains were killed in action. And November 2023, 5 soldiers including 2 captains were killed in action. Why this has happened? This has happened because India was organizing the G20 meeting in Kashmir. So that is why they were rattled, because India was legitimizing the presence of its internationally legitimizing its presence in the Jammu and the Kashmir, and the Pakistan did not want that, because Pakistan also claiming Jammu and the Kashmir as its own, but it is not their territory, but they claim that. So to assert their position, they conducted a terrorist attack on November 22, 2023, and on December 21, 2023, just before the G20 meeting, they again attack and killed 5 soldiers. So these are the things we need to know, that when the attacks happened, why happened. Then after that, May 4, 2024, during the time of these years Lok Sabha elections, 1 soldier of the Indian Air Force was killed and 5 was injured. And then on June 9, 2024, 9 people were killed and 33 injured. This has happened on June 9, when the Prime Minister Modi was swearing in for the 3rd time as the Prime Minister of India. So then this attack happened, and this had happened in Raisi. What happened? A bus was carrying the Hindu pilgrims to a pilgrimage site in Kashmir, and from nowhere some terrorist came out of nowhere, or the bush, and they came out and asked, and actually the ordered the bus driver to stop the bus, and they offer a deal to the bus driver that they will going to let the bus driver go, but the bus driver has to leave the bus with the Hindu pilgrimage, because they wanted to kill all the Hindu pilgrims and wanted to set an examples towards the Indian government. So that was their plan. But the bus driver drove the bus. He got shot, and he actually lost his control and fall into George. So that is why, and as a result of that, 9 people were killed, and also those terrorists killed those people indiscriminately. 2 years old boy was killed. So you can see the heinous crimes are being committed by the Pakistani sponsored terrorist groups. Now on June 11, 2024, 1 SPO and the 5 soldiers injured, and 1 CRPF and the 2 terrorists were killed in a counter-terrorist attack. And on June 12, 2024, the police personnel was injured on Dodar Gando. Gando is a region in Jammu. So these are the things that are happening. Recently, the July 16, 2024, 5 soldiers were killed. 5 soldiers were killed, and that was an ambush, and the responsibility has been taken by the TRF. TRF is a terrorist organization whose actual name is the Resistance Force. It is an offshoot of the Lashkar-e-Taiba, and that terrorist group claimed the responsibility of the Riyasi attack. This is the pattern which are being observed by us, which are being observed by the government of India. So as a result of that, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi has talked to Prime Minister Narendra Modi reportedly chair a comprehensive review meeting to assess the situation in the Jammu and the Kashmir. The meeting included the discussions with the Union Home Minister Amit Shah and National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, providing an overview of the security conditions and ongoing counter-terrorism operation by the armed forces. Prime Minister also engaged with the Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha. He ordered our forces to conduct a full-swing counter-terrorism operations. Full-swing counter-terrorism operation means they will going to scan the region and going to eliminate every single terrorist. And the OGW means the overground workers. Overground workers are the workers. Those are helping those terrorist groups that actually revealed during the time of Riyasi investigations. There was a man who helped those terrorists only for the 6,000 rupees. So you can see the mindsets of these peoples, that why they wants to kill those peoples, why they wants to kill the peoples in the name of religion. So now why Jammu? Why not other places? Why not Kashmir? What is the reason behind it? There is a particular reason behind it, because after the abrogations of the Article 370 and the 35A, what Indian military personnel do, they eliminated all the overground workers, and they have given the work to every personnel. I mean, the personnel, those who were engaged in the terrorist groups or the organizations, the Indian Army absorbs them, trained them. They were brainwashed. Indian Army give them some advice that what to do and what not to do, and these are the things has been done by the Indian military. And after that, when the abrogations of Article 370 and the 35A has been done by the government of India, and the works were given at every levels, then the peoples or the students, those who were pelting the stone to army personnels, those who were fomenting the social unrest, they were all absorbed into the society, all absorbed into the streamlining into the society. So this has reduced to the zero. So that is why Pakistan tried to foment the another region. They strategically open that regions for to disturb that regions in such a way that India will going to face problems to send the terrorist, to send the logistic, to send the army. So that is why this regions has been chosen, and this region also has been chosen because of its geography. Geography is very important, because on the basis of the geography, the troop movements is based on the geography, and the troops need to move. And to move the troops, you need the plains. You need some places where the troops can operate in a very efficient way. But the geography of this region is so rugged, and it is full of expansive plains and the dense forest. That is why it has been difficult for the Indian Army to take care of these forces in these regions. And you can see in the picture that these are the gorges. These are the gorges, which is very deep, and there are boulders, there are loose rocks, which reduces the speed of the movement of the Indian Army or the BSF Jawans or CRPF Jawans to search or cordon of these regions. That is why they have chosen this region. They have chosen this region for their own benefit. And also they have decided to choose that region for another reasons, because to do the terrorisms, the government of Pakistan needs money, and the government of Pakistan do not have the money because of their dilapidated economic conditions. So that is why they wanted to invest less, but wanted to get the highest output. This is the output they are getting by investing lesser, because these are the regions are less on the less height comparison to the Kashmir. Kashmir is on the higher position. That is why they have chosen these regions. They have chosen to target the civilians of these regions, the border regions of villages. They wanted the peoples to move away from these regions to the mainland India. Mainland India means the states like the Punjab. They wanted the Hindu populations to move to Punjab or Himachal Pradesh or Uttarakhand. They do not want those populations to live in these regions because they want to radicalize the populations in such a way that will going to help Pakistani government to foment unrest in those regions, to captures in those regions in the name of religion. Again they began the game which they started in 1990s. And the terrorists are engaging in the guerrilla warfare tactics in a dense forest of the Dera Gali, as well as the attacks on the urban centers and the military establishments necessitates a fresh counter-terrorism approach. The Indian Army was not habituated of controlling these forces in these regions. These regions used to be the very peaceful region. That is why Indian Army did not have the expertise. Indian Army did not have the logistics of controlling the infiltrations in those regions. But Indian Army is trying its best to control the infiltration bids in those regions, because there are several operations has been conducted in which the several terrorists has been shot dead, has been eliminated. So you can see the geographical position. There are peaks. These average heights of this Pir Panjal range is 6,601, and it is full of narrow ridges, deep ditches, and it has also caves. These are the tree lines. These are the deep jungles where the terrorists dodges the forces. They move in such a way that give them the ability to camouflage. The camouflaging within these regions is very easy. So that is why Indian Army is failing. Not right now it is failing, but it will going to adopt some kinds of movement or technological achievements to remove these forces from these regions. And also, these are the caves. How could someone be able to detect if someone is there in those caves? These caves cannot be accessed through the plain roads. These are on the sides of the mountains, sides of gorges of the mountains. So that is why it is difficult. It is almost impossible for the Indian Army to get the access to these caves. So that is why the terrorists came from the Pakistani side, take shelter in those caves, and they tried to coagulate themselves into the society after escaping in those caves. You can particularly see those regions, and these are the jungles. These are the very difficult for any army in the world to control, because you are seeing the war in Ukraine. Ukraine is almost in these kinds of full of these kinds of plains, full of trees. Ukraine do not have the mountains, but they have the tree lines that blocking the visions of any platoons or the army to see through that regions. And these are the regions are very difficult to scan with the help of the drones, with the help of the different kinds of gears that include the night visions. So that is why the Pakistani forces are giving the training to those terrorists to access this region, to get into the societies, to get into the military camps and killing them indiscriminately. The third reason is the terrorists are using the military grade weapons. Where they are getting those military grades weapons? They are getting the night vision glasses, which is being used either by the Pakistani military, or it used to be used by the NATO and the US forces when they were in Afghanistan. And these forces and these terrorist groups are also using the US made M4 assault rifle. They are also, how they are getting the access to these very highly military grade gears. They are getting access because they are getting those things from Afghanistan. They are somehow getting those things from the Afghanistan, and they are using the encrypted radio sets. That is why the Indian Army is finding it difficult to track the communication grids of these terrorists. These are the things Indian Army is facing right this time, and Pakistan's special forces, the special service groups are providing the training to this group to operate, to camouflage, and to dodge the pathway of the Indian forces, through which the Indian forces are scanning those forests. So these are the things are helping this terrorist group to getting the access into the Indian land borders. And now the lithium mining. The lithium mining is very important because lithium is the white gold in today's time. And you know that lithium is being used to produce batteries, because the whole world is getting crazy for the EV, the electric vehicles. So to manufacture the electric vehicles, you need the batteries. And to manufacturing the batteries, you need the lithium. And India has ample amount of lithium in Jammu and Kashmir that has been discovered recently. Government of India was trying to give the access of these mines to the bidders, but government of India has failed to attract those bidders, any bidders around the world to mine in those regions because of the terrorist infestation. So Pakistan's one of the motive is to block India to getting access in those lithium mining. And they are also getting the help from the Chinese and some of the groups in the United States, those who have vested interest in Pakistan, those who have vested interest of controlling, of disturbing the Indian forces or disturbing the Indian military personnel in a particular strategic positions in Jammu and Kashmir. The Chinese are definitely involved in this, because Chinese do not want India to get access to those mines. Because if India will going to get access to those mines, then India will stop importing lithium or any other rare earth material, because when India will going to start mining those lithium mines, then India will going to get some rare earth materials. Then India will not going to get itself dependent on the Chinese products. So that is why the China and some of the vested groups in the United States are trying to block India's access to those lithium mining. Now the guerrilla warfare. What is guerrilla warfare? Guerrilla warfare means they are hiding in some places where Indian army cannot see, with the help of the gears, those who are meant to detect those terrorists or any kinds of infiltration from Pakistan through the border region. So they are using the guerrilla warfare, and with the help of the guerrilla warfare, they are killing the Indian forces. They are also injuring the Indian forces in different regions. Now the next is the narco-terrorism, which is the most important and which is the most nasty thing is being exercised by Pakistan, because narco-terrorism is the only way to fund those terrorist groups in those regions, and Pakistan is exercising this with the help of the drones, because in today's time drones are being used to carry the narcotics from Pakistan to Indian region. They are trying to addict the Indian populations in narco, because if they will be able to addict or make addict the groups in 18 to 25, then that group will going to buy those narcotics again and again, because the addictions of the narcotics is very bad, and if they are get addicted, then the society will be unproductive. So that is why the Pakistan's target is to make the group of people, those who are between 18 to 25, unproductive, because India have a very productive workforce. So these are the things. The narco-terrorism is helping Pakistan to make that group unproductive and to make money from those unproductive groups. And if they will going to infested the society with the help of the narco, then it will going to create the chaos in the society. That is what they are trying to do. And the last one is the lack of human intelligence. The Indian army in the recent time has increased its dependence on technology. They are trying to reduce its human intelligence. They are trying to reduce its dependence on the ground using the human beings. But the human intelligence is very much required to scan those regions, to getting access those regions and maintaining the balance in those regions, because machine have its own limitations. Machine cannot do everything what human beings can do. So that is why they were trying to block those things with the help. The Indian army has made some mistakes when they have reduced its dependence on the human beings. These are the things has actually came up and actually came up with this, actually came up, which has influenced the Pakistan. They have came up with a plan. They planned it very efficient way to send those terrorists within the Indian boundary to conduct the killings in the name of religion, to conduct the killings in the name of sovereignty, the fake sovereignty. They actually claim that Jammu and the Kashmir belongs to Pakistan, which is not, because Pakistan, there was a no Pakistan before 1947. Pakistan came into existence after 1947 when India was divided in the name of religion. So they do not have any claim on Pakistan, but they do claim. And Jammu and the Kashmir is a very contentious region. This region has been divided into three countries. The one is India, and the another one is the occupied Jammu and the Kashmir belongs to Pakistan, and Aksai Chin belongs to China. And also Pakistan ceded some of the regions to China in 1960s because they wanted to build the relationship with China. They wanted to get the strategic access of China and using the China to deter the India's influence in Jammu and the Kashmir region. That is why the Kashmir is very important, because Kashmir give access to the Central Asia. If India had the whole access to the Kashmir, then India would be able to provided the access to the nations, those who are in today's times are crying to get the access in the Central Asian region. One of the countries are United Kingdom and the United States. And the Kashmir problem is actually the problem that has been created by the United Kingdom after 1947. What was the reason behind that? The reason was the nuclear fuel at that time was available in Xinjiang region, and Xinjiang region was being controlled by USSR, the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union was mining in those regions with the help of the Chinese laborers and the Xinjiang laborers, those who were available at that time. They were mining for the uranium. They are getting the uranium from there. So United Kingdom was interested to get access of those uranium, and they wanted to do the espionage work against the nuclear work that was being done by the USSR or Soviet Union at that time. So after 1947, what has happened? They played the tricks with India. They divided Kashmir with the help of Pakistani officers and with the help of the people, those who are in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa region. So they used those peoples. They divided Jammu and the Kashmir, and the strategically important region, which is called the occupied Jammu and the Kashmir, is now being occupied by Pakistan. And what was the reason behind it? The reason was United Kingdom set up three espionage stations in espionage stations in occupied Jammu and the Kashmir. The name of the stations was, one was Stowage, one was Beaver, and one was Stag Day. And that was a plan of Eric Wells. Eric Wells was a MI6 agent during the World War II. He engaged in an atomic espionage against the Nazis, and he was being used. He was used by the UK establishment to espionage against India, with espionage against India, and use the occupied Jammu and the Kashmir to espionage against the USSR nuclear program. At that time, USSR were conducting the nuclear program in Kazakhstan. There is a place called the Semiplatanisk in Soviet Kazakhstan. that was 150 kilometers west of the Semi in Xinjiang. So that region has been selected or elected by the Soviet groups to conduct the operation. That is why the British groups has came up with a plan that they will going to capture those regions. They will going to separate those regions from India and set up the listening station, set up the collection stations. Collection stations of what? Collection stations of different kinds of material. When they were blasting those things, blasting those nuclear bombs, then the air is mixing with those particles. So they have some technology, they have some surveillance planes that were being used by them at that time, and those planes were being conducted, were being operated from the Chakala base in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So that is why today India do not have the occupied Pakistani Jammu and the Kashmir. Pakistan is responsible for that, as well as the United Kingdom, as well as the United States, because United States never wanted India to have the access of those regions, to build the access with the Soviet Union, because the Soviet Union was for, I mean, up to 1991 was up to the Tajikistan. Tajikistan was part of the Soviet Union. So India wanted to get access. The United States wanted to block the India's access with the Soviet Union, because according to the United States, India was a communist state, and they needed the help of the Soviet Union, and it was the time of the Cold War. So that is why they did not want India to get into a block of the Soviet Union, because there was a two block. One block was led by the United States, and the another block was led by the Soviet Union. So they did not want India to get into the Soviet Union bloc. So you can see that differences over there. And in 1979, in around 1979 to 1979, Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan. Afghanistan was a hotbed at that time, and it was the peak of the Cold War. So what Soviet Union did, Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, and this is linked to the Kashmir. That is why I am telling you a story. And when Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, United States wanted to remove Soviet Union from Afghanistan, so they took the help of Pakistan. What they did, they went then the Pakistani dictator, the military dictator Geo-Politics, and asked him to help United States to remove USSR from there, because United States wanted to remove Soviet Union from there, because United States has a very solid place, or the solid foot in the Iran. So that is why they wanted to remove Soviet Union from Afghanistan. So they went to Geo-Politics and they convinced him, and Geo-Politics also convinced the United States President Ronald Reagan and Vice President George H.W. Bush to give Pakistan billions of dollars in aid and different kinds of advanced weapons to fight the proxy battle against USSR. And United States gave them everything. And United States also overlooked Pakistan's nuclear proliferation, because at that time Pakistan was stealing the nuclear technology around the world to make their first nuclear bomb that they blast around 1998. So Pakistan was violating nuclear treaties, violating the rules that was set by the United States and the groups in the United Nations. All the things were violating, but the United States chose to overlook all those things because they wanted USSR out of Afghanistan. Now USSR badly lost that battle. They failed to capture Afghanistan because of the guerrilla warfare, and trained by the US forces, and that also trained by the Pakistani forces. Then in 1991, USSR decided to get out of the Afghanistan, and they get out. When they get out of the Afghanistan, then what Pakistan saw at that time, because they built a chain of jihadi network at that time, and they become jobless. So they were dependent on Pakistan. What Pakistan did, they diverted all those forces towards Jammu and Kashmir and established several terrorist organizations. Some of the names I will going to say you that LET, the Lashkar-e-Taiba, led by the Hafiz Saeed, Jaish-e-Mohammed, led by Masood Azhar, and Masood Azhar also linked with the Harkatul Ansar and the Harkatul Mujahideen. Masood Azhar is a radical Muslim who has been used by the ISI mean Pakistan Espionage Group or the spy agency, the inter-service intelligence, used Masood Azhar and used him to raise the fund around the world to recruit the terrorists around the world. As a result, as Masood Azhar was being used by the ISI, he was sent by the ISI to Zambia, Abu Dhabi, Saudi Arabia, Mongolia, United Kingdom and Albania to recruit people from there. So they recruited people from there, they used those peoples against India, and at that time in 1990s, the Pakistani terrorists invaded India. They killed the Kashmiri Hindu populations from Jammu and from Kashmir, and they removed them from that land, and they tried to occupy that land, but they failed. They failed because Indian government was promptly take action against those terrorist groups and remove them from the land. So you can see that how the Pakistan has been using these terrorist groups against India's interest in Jammu and the Kashmir. This is a battle of perceptions too, because after the abrogations of the Article 370 and the Article 35A, the India has declared that Jammu Kashmir is a very developed state, because India has been developing. India is investing billions of dollars in Jammu and the Kashmir to build roads, to build dams, to build schools, to build playgrounds, everything, and providing the jobs to the local population and building the markets to give the populations a place to where they can sell their goods. So these are the things, all the things are happening, and the populations on the other side, the occupied Jammu and the Kashmir, they are complaining against the government of Pakistan that Indian government is doing everything, then why are you not doing everything for us? As a result of that, the Pakistan government has rattled, and they are trying to create a perception that the Indian Jammu and the Kashmir is not a peaceful place. It is infested, it can easily be infested by the terrorist group, and it is in the chaos. So you do not have to complain. I mean, the people, those who are living in the occupied Jammu and the Kashmir, they are trying to make them understand that you do not have to complain. India also have a problem. You can see that the terrorist attack is happening. All the terrorist attack, they are killing the peoples indiscriminately. Then why are you complaining? Nothing is going on. No development work is going on in Jammu and the Kashmir, but it is going on. It is going on in Jammu and the Kashmir. The United Arab Emirates has decided to invest billions of dollars in Jammu and the Kashmir. The cinema halls has been open since 1990, when the terrorists came and killed and killed the Hindu population, Kashmiri Hindu population in Kashmir. Since then, all the cinema halls were closed, but right now the cinema halls are being opened by the groups called Inox, PVR. They are opening the cinema halls in Jammu and the Kashmir. So it is a perception war, and also these peoples are being helped by the Chinese forces. Why? Because the China wants to create the problems in India's Jammu and the Kashmir. Jammu and the Kashmir is strategically important and very important for everyone. That is why during the time of COVID 2020, because Ladakh is part of the Jammu and the right now it is not part of the Jammu and the Kashmir, because Indian government has separated from Ladakh from Jammu and the Kashmir with the help of the after the abrogations of the Article 370 and the 35A. So Ladakh is now separate region. In 2020, Chinese tried to invade Ladakh through the Galwan region, and when they were trying to invade Ladakh, Indian government or Indian forces opposed them, and then the battle and a small skirmish happened, during which 20 Indian soldiers lost their life and more than 60 Chinese soldiers lost their life, which China never accepted. Because if they will going to accept it, then there will be a problems around the world, because they have the perceptions of the big brothers in the South Asia region or in the Asia region, because they portray themselves as the king of the Asia or the king of the Middle Kingdom. So if they will going to accept that their soldiers have been killed by a most or the lesser force, then they have to their perceptions will going to be reduced, their image will going to be reduced. That is why China never accepted that. These are the things are happening. This is a perception war. This is also a war of water, because there are several rivers that flows through the regions. We know the Bias, Ravi, Chenab and Krishna Ganga, which is Neelam. All the rivers are flowing through these regions. So that is why this region is very important. This is an water efficient regions which is feeding the water deficient states of India, like Punjab, Delhi. These are the regions are being fed by the waters that is flowing in the Jammu and the Kashmir regions. So this is also the fight of the water. And there are other reasons, but it are very menial regions. Sometimes Pakistan wants to prove itself as someone very important in those regions, because their importance has been reduced to the gravels. They used to think themselves as a mountain, but their reputations has been damaged because of their economical conditions. Their economy is in shambles. They are asking for the loans from the IMF. They are asking for everything from every groups who can give them a handsome amount of money. So that is why. And also after the elections, after 2024 elections, the BJP, the ruling party, has reduced to only 240 seats. They lost their majority, the single majority. They have lost their majority. So that is why they are thinking that if they will going to do something, then the government of India will not going to do against them, because in 2016 when Uri happened, 19 soldiers killed, Indian government conducted the surgical strike, the first surgical strike, September 16, 2016. They think that the Indian government will not going to conduct such kinds of operation. And also 2019 Balakot airstrike, when 19 soldiers were killed by the Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists in a suicide attack. Then Indian government used the planes to strike deep inside the Pakistani occupied Jammu and the Kashmir to eliminate the terrorists in camps. So they are trying to hedge their bets. Pakistan is trying to hedge their bets. They are being influenced by the Chinese experts or the experts from the Western countries, particularly the United States. As the geopolitics is very complex, we cannot particularly blame anybody, but the Chinese are definitely involved. That we can say from the events that are written on the world. So this is the end of the topic. If you have any questions, then you can ask me in the comment sections. So thank you very much. Thank you for your support.